Hi, I'm Emily,
And I'm Julia.
and this is the Bad Bitch Podcast.
And we basically this morning have no idea what's going on because we've just been having a fit of the giggles.
We don't normally do retakes. We've just had to start this podcast 5 times.
Yeah.
Partly because I was trying to do accents, and it
Yes.
turns out I'm really bad at them, and you were finding it very funny.
But also, you are very good at Mrs. Doubtfire accent.
That's the only one I appear to be able to do. I'm not going to do it right now. Don't put me under that pressure. No. But anyway, we've pulled it together.
That's me looking at Emily going, go on, do it.
We've pulled it together and we're rolling.
We are. So should we talk about our lovely sponsor?
Yes, please. Let's do that. So we have a new sponsor this week. We're really excited to be sponsored by simonpaulshutters.co.uk.
Yes.
And Simon Paul is a family-run plantation shutter business in Kent and the southeast. And I actually, in my house in London, I have plantation shutters. They're the wooden slatted shutters, very classic. And they are absolutely brilliant. If you don't want thick curtains, and they're so much smarter than other shutters, they really make a room, particularly if you've got high ceilings or traditional windows. So this is a lovely small family-run business. They'll come around your house, they'll do a free assessment, a free quotation, help you see how you can use shutters to improve your windows. You can also use them for wardrobes. I've used them for wardrobe doors, which is really classic. And they actually keep a surprising amount of heat in and light out, because you think because they're not like big thick curtains, they're not that insulating, but they actually really are. Personally, I quite like quite a clean aesthetic. So I like the white ones, but you get all different colours and materials. You can even get ones that work in your bathroom that are moisture resistant.
Wow.
So I know a lot about this because I put shutters in my whole house, because to me it's a really classic look. So simonpaulshutters.co.uk. Check them out if you're in the southeast or in Kent. Get them round and they can absolutely make over your rooms.
I love that. And then so today we are talking about your 5-year vision and a 5-year filter, which is very exciting. The how to do it, what kind of categories you might want to explore, and really the benefits of doing it.
Wait, before we do that, pop culture.
I'm going to talk about it.
I'm sorry. I'm about to get in trouble for the first time on the podcast. You knew where you were going, and I was jumping in. I apologise.
It's fine.
I retract that. Carry on.
I have now been thrown. So now
no, it's my fault.
But no, we're talking about our 5-year vision and
different
how to do that. Categories,
yes.
The benefits of which will be amazing.
Yes.
But yes, before we do that, should we talk about some pop culture?
Yes, of course. I have no idea what's coming.
So Diane Keaton obviously passed sadly last year.
Yes.
October time, I think it was. And it's a very quick timeline, I would say, from the usual timeline that happens. Is we've had a celebrity auction of her estate sale.
Oh, really?
Go through. Yes, it happened. Bonhams hosted it. They actually split it down into several days, and they split it like the architecture of her home, her personal artwork, the style of Diane Keaton.
Oh, wow.
But yes, I really don't know how I feel. But the more it happens, obviously the first and the original pop celebrity posthumous estate sale that happened was one of the most high profile was the Marilyn Monroe one.
Yes.
That was back in 1999, and that was huge. Literally every lot went for way over the budget. And I mean, it's similar for the Diane Keaton one because they had some really interesting artifacts. They had obviously her classic hats that she used to wear.
She had such great looks.
She had, some of her scarves, obviously her personal artwork. They had a letter from Al Pacino, who she used to describe as her great love, which was... and they had her original Annie Hall script, which I think was expected to go for around $2,000, $3,000 and actually sold for $394,000.
Wow.
And it's like their estimate. And obviously Bonhams know what they're doing. They know what how to price these artifacts, etc. But someone paid $960 for some safety pins and her nail clippers.
Oh, that's a bit disturbing.
And and that is actually a really good segue, actually unintentional this time, of how we feel about estate sales in general. Because when I was reading up about Diane Keaton, there's Gene Hackman has had an estate sale. I don't feel like it was that long since he passed, when they did an estate sale of Matthew Perry's articles.
Did
You
they?
could,
They've done that already?
yes, they did that, and you could buy his wallet with his AA membership and his credit cards in.
Really?
And I don't know if I find
Well, who
it.
are the beneficiaries who were signing off on this?
Well, I did, and again, I tried to do some research on like Diane Keaton, like, but it's her sister did like a foreword and commented on the sale of the 4 Bonhams, so that she was featured on the website. But I couldn't really find any kind of. They're very like closed doors about who has instigated this estates sale.
Yes.
I can't speak. Who like the proceeds are going to, because it might have been in line with Diane Keaton's wishes. It might have been in her will, but again, it's not something we know. When Elizabeth Taylor did her auction, obviously a lot of it went to like AIDS charities, but with this particular Diane Keaton, I don't know whether it's like the executors that have instigated it to pay maybe estate tax, whether
Well,
it's
that's the thing.
in her wishes.
If there's debt,
Mm.
and you know, sometimes there are celebrities who seem to have made a lot of money, but actually they've racked up huge amounts of debt.
Yes.
So then, in those cases, receivers are involved, and they will just sell everything to make any money.
Mm.
But I think if it's a personal beneficiary, I think you would kind of hand pick certain items, or you might say, well, yes, all their archival clothes from their films can go, for example.
Yeah.
But to let things like someone's nail clippers
I know.
be featured, there's something quite macabre about that, don't you think?
Really, definitely. And actually, it reminds me because they auctioned. Obviously, there's been a huge chunk of time between his passing and now, because it was in the last couple of years, maybe. They had an auction of Freddie Mercury's stuff, and they auctioned the piano which he wrote Bohemian Rhapsody on. Things like that are really iconic. But like you say, it's like when it's like a lock of someone's hair, maybe. I feel a certain way about that. And then like nail clippers and things like that. I mean, what are you going to do? Be at a dinner party and be like, I've got Diane Keaton's nail clippers?
Well, but people have weird obsessions.
True.
So you're kind of attracting a lot of stalkers who don't have the money to buy the piano, kind of thing. You know, if it's auctioned, then it's legitimate. Anyone can buy it and do what they want with it.
Mm.
But there is something weird about, and when it's so soon, tells you that there's a financial imperative that needs to be met to do it. Because otherwise you think actually it probably is a bit more graceful to let a bit of time pass and be a little bit more considered about what you sell. But there's nothing wrong with selling these things. And in some ways you might say, well, they're going to fans rather than sitting in storage. True. And someone's going to really, like the Annie Hall script. I mean, what a dinner conversation piece that is, to say, well, look, we've got the original script with probably her amendments and notes on there. And that film is just so incredible. And her outfits in that film are so iconic. So you can see the value in that. But again, you could wait a while and that would still be incredibly valuable. It's this strange thing, though, that we, with these iconic celebrities and actors, particularly ones who've been around for so long, that we kind of have a feeling like we can't own them a little bit. And then there's something that ties into this, that that actually can own a piece of them. There's something there's something lovely about that level of familiarity, and something a bit unsettling about it all at the same time. For sure, because it's like, if you see a celebrity out and about, are you like, for me, I'm like, they're not there in their performing capacity. If I saw them in a hotel, I want to just let them be. I'm not the kind of person that will go up and be like selfies and that sort of thing. But there are people that will be like, well, I'm part of making them famous, therefore I can have access to them anytime, which is... Yeah, no, I've sat next to or near very famous people and don't acknowledge them at all, because I feel like they're there on private business. Exactly. I've also many times bumped into or seen someone and smiled and said hi because I thought I knew them. Bill Nighy was one. Oh, brilliant. I bet that made his day. I don't know. He looked confused. He probably has it all the time. Who was married to Paul McCartney? Heather Mills? Mills. I did that to her. I thought I knew her. I didn't know her at all. I physically walked into Idris Elba. That was quite an experience. I mean, he is a handsome man and very tall. Wow. So I kind of bumped into him and looked up and thought, I did recognise him and was quite startled. But I've done that. I've many a time seen a famous person and smiled and said hi because I think, God, I know them, and I'm embarrassed that I don't know where I know them from. And then afterwards I think, oh my God, you absolute idiot. They have no idea who you are. You've never met them, but you've seen them so much that they just feel so familiar to you.
I'm sure that they were pleased to meet you at the time.
No,
Yeah.
I know. Honestly, Heather Mills scowled. There was another scowler, just like Anna. Oh my God, I got such a death look from her. She didn't seem that happy to see me.
I don't think she's a very nice, particularly nice person in real life.
Well, look, we don't know. We don't know her. We're not going to comment on that. But yeah, some celebs, I think some celebs are quite good humoured about the fact that they get spotted.
Yes.
Or people think they know them, and then others, like maybe they don't like it.
No. And there's a few like celebrities now that will be like, when they go out to greet fans, they'll be like, I'll come to you. If you push and you jostle, I'm like, they'll set the expectation, which I think is quite nice and which is healthy. And they're like, we'll just like navigate this, you'll all get your turn. And I think it's a really healthy way of managing it. And there are a lot of people, who is it that was saying it? They were like, I don't want to have a selfie with you, but I'm more than happy to like have a conversation, sign what you want. I can't remember who it was who was saying that, but they were literally very adamant. It's like, I'm not here for like a selfie, but if you want to have a conversation, I'll happily do that.
I think the issue is the selfie is the new autograph.
Yeah, I'd still rather have an autograph.
Oh, I've never asked anyone for an autograph. Have you ever asked anyone for one?
Maybe when I was younger, like when I used to love horse riding and I went to the Olympics, I'd ask them for autographs.
Did you ask that? Oh, that's the sweetest thing ever.
Or like Formula One drivers. I've got like...
Have you got some Formula One drivers' autographs?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, so, no, I wouldn't even think to ask for an autograph.
If I was smaller.
Oh, I bet you were very cute and they couldn't resist saying, like, here's an autograph. A sweet child who wants my... I think if a child asks you an autograph and you turn that down, no, that's just mean.
But we are in the stage now, like, where we've got people like, especially it happens a lot with Ronaldo, people will run on the pitches in the middle of the game.
What?
Children will run on and like want to try to get a selfie with him.
Oh no.
And it's like, it becomes who can catch the rogue child on the pitch.
Yeah, that's
quickest.
What I mean. It's become the new autograph, but you still need to have boundaries and sensible ways of behaving. And I'm sure many people have injured themselves trying to take selfies and not being aware of their environment around them.
Well, it happens all the time. Like people, it's not just celebrities. It happens like with the spots of beauty. People will climb over barriers. People will stand on the very edge on one toe in one canyon, the Grand Canyon, and wonder why they fall to their deaths.
Well, they don't wonder because they're dead. But other people,
everyone else will be like, but then how horrifying for everyone else, Oh
my goodness! I feel like we need to change direction.
Right, I will talk about like
people dying in the Grand Canyon.
I'll talk about another sale, but this time we'll talk about it's a business sale. So Marc Jacobs was owned by LVMH.
Yes,
obviously the major heavy player in the higher fashion industry, owning the likes of Dior and Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
They sold Marc Jacobs the business to WHP and G111.
I don't know.
So they typically, it's a joint sale. They have brands like, they already own brands like G-Star Raw.
Yes, G-Star Raw, yes.
So yes, they will own brands like that kind of thing. I think they even own Toys R Us as well. But it's interesting what LVMH has done. First of all, the deal was worth a cool 850 million. Marc Jacobs, who I love, he's so cool, and he looks amazing. He's in his 60s now. I was like, really? And he has a SpongeBob SquarePants tattoo.
Does he really?
Yeah, on his bicep. Because you can see it when he was obviously at Louis Vuitton. You can see it in one of his campaign pictures.
Wow.
He's got this really funny SpongeBob tattoo. It's so.
What does that mean to him? There's a story there.
I did. I can't remember what it means to him actually, but it's so funny. And this again it's the kind of people I love in life, where you've got that real juxtaposition. You are the creative director of like one of the most recognized brands in the world, owned by LVMH, and you have a SpongeBob tattoo. It's like that. You're a corporate bad bitch, but you love to run around naked and scream at the moon on the full moon.
You know about yourself at this point.
No. Scream at the moon, yes. Running around naked, no one needs to see that.
Okay, so
they sold, and it's really interesting what LVMH are doing. So they've owned Marc Jacobs since 1997, but what LVMH are doing now is they're actually refocusing on ultra high end luxury. And they're actually starting, where they've seen a downtrend in luxury, like higher spending, like in spending in the bigger brands, they're trying to just streamline their offering, and they're offloading the brands in the middle so like Marc
Oh,
Jacobs,
right.
so they can focus solely on like the true luxury, like the premium brands. And it's like moving away from that cool girl like accessories. Can you think how famous Marc Jacobs is with the tote bag, etc.?
Yes. I think all of us have had a Marc Jacobs handbag at some point or other.
Exactly that, right? And it's moving away from that to concentrate on the other thing. And interestingly, they've exited and reduced stakes in brands such as Off-White, which I found surprising.
I
But
don't know what Off-White is.
it's kind of more like a trendy sort of like street label.
Okay.
Also Stella McCartney as well, which I found surprising.
Yeah.
But they're just really
So they're really sticking with
shifting.
premium.
Yes, they're owning fewer but bigger and stronger brands. But very exciting times for Marc Jacobs.
Wait, so who bought Marc Jacobs then?
The WHP and
I see.
G111.
Because the guy who owns Sports Direct is trying to buy Hugo Boss at the moment, isn't he?
Is he? Oh,
Yeah.
you know this. Mike Ashley.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So it's interesting because there's a lot of areas or sectors where there's not a lot of deals happening. There's not a lot of movement. The private equity market isn't that great. But it's interesting that in the world of fashion, that it seems like there are some big deals happening.
Definitely. And Marc Jacobs will stay on as creative director. He has always been one of those big sort of strong American fashion brands. And like hopefully, well, that will continue with his new backers. Interesting that LVMH chose to do that though.
Yeah. Well, I think when there's change, they're changing their strategy and they've decided to go high with it, basically.
It's good. Bold move. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah. They obviously have a 5-year vision.
Oh, that was an amazing segue. You beat me to the punch of the segue into our 5-year topic.
Yes.
So let's talk about 5-year vision. What is it? Why should we do it? And then let's get into how we do it.
So the 5-year vision is something I do with my clients. And when we're setting goals, obviously some clients come with very short-term goals. They want to get a promotion, they're trying to get a job or whatever, we can work there. But when clients come with a bigger remit that they want help navigating their career in general, it's good to look at enough of a distance away that we can be quite ambitious, but not so far away that it doesn't feel like they can touch it. So sometimes you'll kind of do your 10-year vision. But as I say, if I set myself a 10-year vision, I can take at least the first year off, if not possibly the second one, before I really feel like the pressure to get going. And if you say, well, this is everything I want to do in 1 year, so I think we generally overestimate what we can achieve in that first year, or we put too much pressure on ourselves. So 5 years is a really nice time frame to say to someone, okay, well, I know this is what you want to do in the next 6 months, but can we just start with what do you want to achieve in 5 years' time? Because they can be quite ambitious about it, but also it's close enough that we then need to start thinking about what do we do now? So I've got a client who's just starting a new job and they've got all these goals about how they want to be in their new job. And I said, well, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Let's factor that into the first steps you're taking. So it's not just about creating a good impression, it's lining yourself up for that next big promotion and already being ambitious from day one. So I really like this 5-year time frame. And then when we do the Bad Bitch Reset online or in person, we encourage people to think about their 5-year vision in lots of different areas. Not all at the same time, because that can be a bit overwhelming, but the areas we think it's good to have a vision for 5 years is your home. You know, what does your home look like, your home environment? Where are you based? Are you based in one place? Are you traveling? Career and business. So what do you want that to look like? Do you want to be running a business? What setup do you want? How many people? What kind of products? Or is it in your career? Is there a certain level you want to reach? Or a certain type of environment you want to be in? Goals for your social life. People often don't think about this, but I think you should have goals in all areas. And goals for your social life. Who are you spending time with? How are you spending time with them? How frequently are you doing that? What kinds of activities are you doing? Goals for your family. What does family life look like? What would be the success in that? And obviously family life changes hugely over time. So what you wanted 5 years ago, maybe your children, you know, they'll be grumpy teenagers in 5 years' time. They're not going to want to do, you know, to go to the theme park every Saturday or do the family activities. What do you want your lifestyle to be like? So it's more like your day-to-day life, the environment you're in. Same for health, creativity and hobbies. You know, do you have a creative outlet? What would that look like? Spirituality. Again, not everyone has a religious or spiritual element, but what does that look like now? How would you like that to evolve, if anything? Your romantic life, just like with your social life, I think it's good to have goals. Maybe you're single, you want goals about being in a relationship. maybe you're in a relationship, but you want goals about what that relationship will look like or how it will feel. And finances, which is actually one of the ones most people are quite good at goal setting on, is finance and career, but they don't do the rest of those things. And then they might hit their finance and career goals. And I had this happen with a client. He came to me because he said, oh, I hit my finance career goals, but I don't actually have a life that I actually like. Because I just got so focused on that. I didn't think about my living environment. I didn't cultivate my personal relationships. So finances, people tend to kind of get what that involves.
And we'll put these topics in the show notes, so you've all got them, so you can have a look at them later on. Just while you're talking, I was thinking about that. With your finances and your career goals, maybe people find it easier because it's very easy to do like concrete. I'm going to hit this number. I'm going to get this amount in savings. I'm going to move to this position.
I'm going to hit this, get this job title.
Exactly that. And sometimes with our social life, number one, people sometimes may feel, or like your lifestyle, people do feel committed to it, but some people may feel like, oh, actually, because of the way we've been conditioned by society, finances and career are like the primary ones I have to hit, like you were saying with your clients.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
you're told that they're really important, and weirdly, you're told you will be happy when you make a certain amount of money and your career goes a certain direction, or then you can get in a good relationship, or then you can buy the house of your dreams. And actually, I'm often challenging clients and saying, well, if this is the kind of life or lifestyle you want or house you want, how could you get that now without having to hit the crazy financial goals that you're setting yourself?
Exactly. And it's easier to have that. I'm aiming for this title and this career. I'm aiming for this salary. It's less easy sometimes to be like, I want to move into this house, but maybe it's in this area, or I don't quite know what it looks like.
There's too many different options when it comes to where am I going to live, or even what does my social life look like. And like you often say in the podcast, our brain likes option A, option B.
Yeah, it likes a hand.
Yeah.
You know, the hand that
do you
people
want this
hate.
one? Do you want this one?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, there's 5 million different ways that I could have my lifestyle and my social life. What do I want? And that's where sometimes looking at inspiring images or doing a bit of a vision board, trying, people always talk about SMART goals, but not having a SMART goal, maybe not being too specific at first, and just having an idea, a sense, or a visualization can be more helpful, because otherwise we're trying to reduce something that's not that quantifiable into quantifiable pieces.
Yeah, and it's like, once you start with like it, and if you're like, I perhaps don't know what I want it to look like, my lifestyle to look like, start with a feeling and be like, I want to feel more settled, or I want to feel like I have more energy, and then work from there and be like, again, we're just pondering around, playing around with what our 5-year vision might look like. Okay, so if I was someone that felt calmer, if I was someone that felt more energized, what kind of things would I be doing in life? And build it up from there.
Yeah, that's another great way of doing it. And also challenging your goals. If someone says, well, I want to earn X amount of money, then you say, why?
Exactly.
And what does that give you? And then they tell you the next thing. You say, well, what does that give you? And what does that give you? And you keep pushing. And then sometimes the answer comes that it gives me security or peace of mind or a sense of achievement. And then you can ask them, are there other ways that you could achieve that?
Exactly that. I actually, with the 5-year, I interpret it slightly differently with my clients as well, because it helps them sometimes eke out, in the same way that a 5-year vision does, like what's real for them. Because people will say how people will say, well, if you've got 12 months to live, how are you living your life? And when someone says that, like you said, it's a very short period of time. And I'm sure that if we were going to create like a life for 12 months, we'd be in Vegas, or it would be a less sustainable life.
You know what my brain said? It said cake MDMA.
Yeah.
Cake MDMA party. Let's go.
I mean, I like this. We will talk about more about this off air.
No, if you've got 12 months left. Yeah. If you've got 12 months left, that's what I'm talking about.
Then
the problem is, at the end of those 12 months, if they said, oh no, false alarm, you've got another 30, you can't reverse those decisions.
There are some really good there are some really cute films. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a lady and she works in like a cafe in Chicago, and she always wants to be in like a chef, and she gets misdiagnosed that she's got like 12 months to live, and as a result of that misdiagnosis, she goes and trains with like Gerard Depardieu as a chef. Right. She travels, she does all the things. Yeah. Not in the film.
sorry,
she
I
goes and
couldn't
does all
resist
these
that.
things. Brilliant. And then it's like, it's just so good because it's like at the end of the 12 months, they're like, actually, we made a mistake. You've got longer to live. But she's gone and done all the things. She's
See, that's I love all of that. I think maybe we should do that. Apart from the fact that you'd have no money at the end of the 12 months.
Well, this is the thing. So it's like 12 months is too short of a time scale. If you carry on like you're going to live forever, which to be fair, like everyday life, you can sort of just get caught on that mill of like, this is just going to be it. It's like we know it. We know that is destined for us, not to get morbid. But it's like it's still something at this moment in time, especially when you're younger. Kind of is.
It feels like for you and I, the end is decades away.
Exactly that. So to have like a 5-year time frame, I call it like with clients, it's like 5-year filter. If you've got 5 years to live, what are you doing? Like you can break it down on a daily basis.
Can we just stop the podcast right now? Let's go and do whatever it is.
Love
We're
it.
not doing this. Actually, no. You know what? I would still
100%. I'd do this podcast.
I would still podcast with you.
Yes.
If I had 5 years left.
If I have 5 years, we're doing the podcast.
Definitely.
And it's really helpful even on a daily basis. It's like, I've got invited to this party. If I've got 5 years to live, do I want to go to it?
That's a great lens.
Do I, like, if I have, I've got 5 years to live, do I want to go and do this, like, random trip?
I feel really flattered now. If you're using that lens, I feel really flattered about all the time you've spent with me. If you're going, I've only got 5 years left. You shouldn't be spending this much time with me, Julia.
I love it though. I absolutely should. And we should definitely finish. We need to. I've got 5 years. I don't want to jinx it, but like we need to watch. We need to finish Rivals.
I mean, if we can't finish Rivals in the next 5 years, there's a problem. But when you do this with your clients, because it's such a great exercise, what are some of the like realizations they have about that? If I only have 5 years left,
it really helps them like just drill down like the people that they want to be spending their time with.
Yes,
and it really helps them as well. Just really like on a daily basis. It helps them as well sometimes not sweat the small stuff as majorly, like let go of the things that perhaps like that the house doesn't always have to be perfect if it's at the expense of spending time with their kids, doing the things they want, like spending time as a family or taking yourself on solo adventures. It helps sort of dial down a bit of that bullshit that we're told is so important, that you've got to have like the perfect house or this. Also really helpful with like social media. You've got 5 years to live. Are you spending literally an hour a day on social media?
See, I don't spend any time doing it. That's apart from my work LinkedIn, which is pretty much delegated anyway. But I didn't do it on a 5-year basis. I just put full stop in my life. If you add up over decades of living, how much time you can spend. So if someone sends me something they've done that's great on social media, I'll look at it. Otherwise, I'm just not on it at all.
And that's really good. I feel like sometimes with social media, like it even happens to myself, I will log on, like I will go on Instagram to look for something particular, and I will see the first post, which has been curated particularly to get my attention, or God forbid if I'm on my search page and there is all manner of shirtless men, not going to lie. And
oh my God, we have such different Instagram. Mine, by the way, if you look at mine, it is literally just golden retriever puppies.
Oh, I love that for you. I also love my page.
And yours is shirtless men.
Shirtless men, cars.
Oh my God.
And it remaps so quickly as well. And
how
literally,
do you mean?
Well, because like if I will pause on a video about travel, then my For You page just it literally curates. So like.
It just quickly changes it. So, but to this 5-year vision point, I think there is a point about going, how much of the next 5 years do I want to spend? Because people do get genuine pleasure and utility from using social media, but it's about being very conscious and saying, well, how much do I want that to be a part of my life? Maybe a lot. Maybe you're an influencer and it's a really great thing for you. But then what else do I want to have done over the next 5 years that feels good? And how else do I want to have spent my time? And what do I... Like, I think that point about what do I not want to have wasted time doing, or wasted time on particular arguments or particular situations, or stressing about things that I didn't need to. Or if there's something you're going to stress about for the next 5 years, how can you de-risk it right now so that you're not going to spend 5 years stressing about that particular thing? Exactly.
Just one little point on social media, which I found actually worked quite well for myself, believe it or not, is you log on, you have 3 minutes, you set a timer, after 3 minutes you come off it. And then you take yourself away from your phone and you're literally like, right, what have I seen? Like, and you say, is this feeling, do I feel good? And it's like asking yourself a couple of key questions. And if you're like, yeah, I'm having the loveliest time of my life, go back on social media.
Right.
But by physically creating that physical distance and allowing yourself to think, right, is this feeling good? Is it in line with the 5-year filter, the 5-year plan I've got? am I getting something out of this? Can I even remember what I've seen in the last 3 minutes? Then based on those answers will tell you as to whether it's then easier to then step away from social media if you're not actually getting the inputs that you like.
So, which is a great tip because it is a form of entertainment. So not everyone's going to want to go the way
No.
I've gone. Is there a version of this where we should also look back over the last 5 years?
On what, with like a 5-year filter?
Yeah, and say over the last 5 years, did I spend where did I spend time that I was
think
happy
it's really
with?
good.
Like I'm very happy with the time I spent with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do I feel about the trips I took? Which ones did I think were great? Which were like doesn't seem like the best use of my time and resources. You know, how do I feel about how my career went? And because I do at the end of every year, I send my clients a year in review document. But is there something about doing a 5-year review retrospectively that can also be helpful in then setting your next 5-year vision?
I think so, for sure, because sometimes like we don't always, like a year again might be too short. Sometimes we need to look back over a longer period of time to see how we've arrived at this point.
Yes.
Because it might be as a result of like habits that we've lent into that have eroded our self-worth, or they've eroded our productivity. And sometimes we won't be able to see that over 12 months, but we can see it over 5 years. And then when it comes to setting our vision going forward for the next 5 years, we can be like, what have I done that's got me to this point? And if I want to pivot and change to a different place, what do I need to do differently?
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise you can sleepwalk through life, and then someone looks back and goes, oh wait, you know, that was okay. But let's work on the premise. Maybe let's not work on the premise that we've only got 5 years left, but let's work on the premise that we've only got one life.
100%.
And chunking it up into 5-year batches is quite a nice amount of time to say, well, what do I want to achieve with those 5 years? It's not just about achievement. What do I want to really enjoy in the next 5 years? You know, if someone's older, they might say, well, I really want to enjoy my grandchildren while they're little. So this is the thing, or my stage of parenting. So let's focus there. And sometimes when I'm coaching women in their careers, they might say, I need my job to be slightly easier because for the next 5 years, I want to really enjoy this phase with my kids before they leave home and they're not that fussed anymore. So there's something about, rather than just life ticking over day to day, of stepping back and saying, let's break it up into these chunks and say, what do I really want to do with that?
Definitely. And I feel like as well, like, because obviously we talked about quite a few categories, there's nothing wrong with picking like 3 or 4 that you really want to dial in on over the next 5 years. And you're entitled to change it at any point in the 5 years, but having like focus, but not an overwhelming focus of you want to do all the things when your brain would get really overwhelmed. Having real focus on a few key areas, perhaps even the ones that shift the needle the most overall in your life, I think is really, really good.
I think that narrowing that lens and saying what would make a real difference to me, because again, we can get very easily distracted by lots of other little things, but it might be that your home is just really not a great space for you. And I know personally where I live has a big impact on me. So then going, okay, so if I can save up and move home, or if I can invest in redecorating my home and making it a really special place in the next 5 years, that's going to have a real positive influence, rather than distracting myself with lots of girls' trips that might use up the budget for that. That's a fun distraction, but in 5 years' time, I might have lots of memories, but I won't have the house. And it could go the other way, where you go, in 5 years' time, my girlfriends might be busy with their families. So I want to make the most. I was really grateful with my friends when we were younger that we did lots of trips together, and now they've got families, they can't do those trips. So I do think there's this thing about, maybe we can't do everything all at once, but there's a right time for everything. There's an appropriate sequence, and you need a bit of focus. And sometimes you need to recognize to achieve that, also, what do I need to sacrifice? What do I need to be willing to pass on? What do I need to be willing to not spend time and money on in order to get the thing that I really want?
It's definitely true. And like having those 5-year blocks, like seasons almost, it's like there might be times for enjoyment, and there might be times where you actually have to dial it in and really like focus.
The monk mode that we talked about last time.
The monk mode, yes, exactly. And it's like, are you going to dial in on these couple of things so you can really get ahead to what you want to do? But there is that balance of like having those small pleasures on a daily basis. I do feel like you can't keep putting off. There has to be that sweet spot. You can't put off living a life for 5 years, because you might get to that. What was it Lady Gaga says about like, your career's not going to tuck you in bed at the end of the night, or it's like a lonely place at the top of the mountain. So it's having that balance, but there will be times where you have to dial in. I was going to swear. You have to dial the fuck in and get it done and get to work.
But if you have goals about your social life as well, then you can make sure you don't completely deprioritize it. So I have had periods where I've had to really work hard and say to my friends, I'm not going out for 6 weeks because I've got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
But because I've invested in those relationships in the past and I'm going to come back to them, nobody cared.
No.
Everyone's completely fine about it. But it's making sure it's like a diversified portfolio. It's like making sure you have invested in those things so that if you need to disappear off or focus on something, that's fine.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right. When you get to the end of your life, some people actually will wish that they'd worked harder. That's true. But a lot of people will be glad that they spent time with the people that they loved.
100%.
And the things they will remember won't be the number on the bank account.
No.
It will be that I got to do this podcast with you. It will be that I got to live in London with two of my best friends and we had amazing times. Like it will be some really memorable trips with people that you really love that are the things you're going to think about. And so that's where if we get stuck in the vision of, more money, it's like the Dan and Shay song, happiness doesn't live in bigger houses. Mm-hmm. If we keep getting hung up on the acquiring this gets me happy, instead of what's that 5-year vision of my life, and to finish, one of the exercises I really like people to do is imagine yourself now 5 years in the future, go through all those categories, write it out by hand. What does your life look like? And then get in your mind's eye a really clear vision of you 5 years in the future, experiencing all these wonderful things, the social life, the work that's going really well, the relationship that you're really happy with, the home that you're really happy in. Visualize all those elements together. Imagine what are you wearing? What does it feel like? How are you feeling? Where are you? How's your day been? Get very clear on that vision. Mm-hmm. And then talk to your present day self and say to your present day self, thank you for doing X. Like ask yourself, like, what did the present day you do that meant you got here? Because present day you probably had to do some things that were uncomfortable, that were difficult, that required some discipline, or required them to focus in one area and not get distracted by another. You never ever went back to day one self and said, thank you for all the time you spent on Instagram looking at shirtless men. Right?
Okay.
Or thank you for all the money you spent on those clothes that you didn't really need.
Yes.
It's rarely going to thank you for that.
No.
What is your future self in 5 years' time in this amazing place thanking you for? And it's going to probably be overcoming a fear, being disciplined about something, doing something challenging. And that's really useful information. And then you might go, well, now I've reflected on that. How do I want to put that into practice?
And also, like, when it comes to setting your vision, I would just say, like, try and suspend, like, some element of reality. Obviously, there are things, but we now live in this world where we are more interlinked and we are able to, like, create a life in so many different ways, whatever it looks like. Mm-hmm. And that is, like, there's a huge possibility. And it calls to mind, there's an amazing lady called Chelsea Diane who runs Poems and Peonies, to both of them. Her Instagram is Poems and Peonies, but she's a poet. She writes amazing, moving poetry, and she will literally fly around the world to these amazing locations and teach other women about amazing women who've been in the past, like Joan of Arc, Elizabeth Taylor, but she'll fly to, like, France to teach Joan of Arc. She'll go to Iceland to teach Bjork. And she just gathers these amazing women and she encourages them to, like, write poetry and fulfill their creative dreams.
Oh, wow.
And she is just, like, this amazing force to be reckoned with. And she lived in Malibu. She was like, I'm not feeling Malibu anymore. So she packed up, sold it, and bought a ranch in Kansas. So I would encourage you just like that. And one good thing about Instagram is you find women like Chelsea Diane. Go and look at her and look for other women that are leading, like, that full-on, like, tour de force creative life that you want, and don't be afraid to really go for it in your 5-year vision. Yes. Because what you can achieve in 5 years is huge.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
So in a way, do the exercise again and say, if I was my most powerful self, and I was in leaning into all my strengths and my most positive attributes.
Yes.
It's not just about what do I want, what could I be capable of in 5 years' time?
Love it.
Amazing.
That was so good. I loved it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we really hope that you found that useful, and we would love to hear what ideas and things come up with you for your 5-year vision, and what we'd love to hear. So if you have any questions, as always, please reach out, and if you could continue to like, share and subscribe. We are so grateful for you joining us, and we can't wait to see you next time.